All right, so let's take a look at this classwork. This is what you're going to do on your own. We are going to work a couple of these together. So our instructions say to write an equation to find the unknown number. Use a symbol for the unknown, and we know that we want to use a variable. So we've got to write an equation and use a variable for what we don't know. Now, remember, we're dealing with additive comparisons, which means we might add or subtract. And we're also dealing with multiplicative comparisons, which means we might multiply or divide. Remember, with additive, we're looking for words like how much more, how many more, how much less, fewer. And then for multiplicative, we're looking for times as many, times as much, times more. So just be aware we could possibly be adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing. So let's look at number 3 together. So Maria made 21 cupcakes. This is 3 times as many cupcakes as the number of cupcakes that Mary made. How many cupcakes did Mary make? So if Maria made 21 cupcakes, it says this is 3 times as many as the number of cupcakes that Mary made. So we can see that Maria made more. Using what we know about our words and math symbols, if Maria made 21 cupcakes and this is, which means the equal sign, so I can start writing my equation. 21 is 3 times as many as the number of cupcakes that Mary made. So now I have my equation. How many cupcakes did Mary make? So even though this says times, I have to understand that I could also use the inverse operation of times, which is division. So if Maria made the most, if she made 21, and that is 3 times the number of cupcakes that Mary made, I have to divide by 3 instead of multiply by 3. And so 21 divided by 3 is 7. So Mary made 7. Now this next one we're going to look at is one that always tricks all of my classes each year. So same thing, we're writing an equation with a variable to solve. There are 4 fewer white bunnies than gray bunnies. So right away I know that I have less white bunnies than I have gray bunnies. There are 9 white bunnies. So if there are 9 white bunnies, I have to have less white bunnies than gray bunnies. It wants to know how many gray bunnies are there. So I know that I have 4 fewer white bunnies than gray bunnies. I don't know how many gray bunnies I have, so I'm going to use a G for my variable. And I know if I take 4 away from my gray bunnies, I should wind up with 9 gray bunnies because it says fewer right here. So in order to solve, now something is missing, but you have to be careful because this menu end right here has to be the biggest number. So we'll actually add these 2 together to get my big number right here. So G is equal to 13. Now what happens a lot of times is people want to subtract these 2 numbers and say that, oh, there's 5 gray bunnies. But that can't be right because there are 4 fewer white bunnies than gray bunnies. And if it tells me that there are 9 white bunnies, I can't have less gray bunnies because I have less white bunnies. So that's just an example of why we've got to read these problems very carefully. All right, so let's take a look at the bottom. You're going to answer numbers 6 through 7 using the table. And on numbers 8 and 9, you've got to tell me which exercises on this page. Exercises would be number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. Which one of these used addition or subtraction to compare? And so you're going to write out just the numbers. Like we used addition and subtraction on number 5, so number 5 would go here. Which exercises on this page use multiplication or division? So I use multiplication or division on number 3, so I would just put the number 3 right here. So you've got a list. You've got to pick 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, and you've got to list them out according to if they used addition or subtraction or multiplication or division. So kind of like you are sorting them. All right, so let's look at the next page on the back. All right, so you are going to answer these for me. Even though it doesn't say, I do want you to write an equation with a variable to solve these. You don't have to write an equation with a variable on numbers 13 and 14 because those are going to be a little tough. And then we'll talk about number 15 together. All right, so let me take a look at where my time is at. Okay, so let's keep looking at this. All right, I want to look at number 14 together because this is another one that confuses my classes each year. And I want to kind of show you how to work it. Number 14 is going to be similar to how you have to figure out number 13. So whenever you get to number 13, just kind of do the same thing that we did here. Because on number 14, it says, Missy earned 3 times as many points as Jerry. Kimmy earned 9 more points than Jerry. Missy earned 21 points. How many points did Kimmy earn? Explain how you know the answer is reasonable. So that's a lot of information that they throw out at you. So what I like to do is I like to say that Missy, like to write what my sentences tell me. Missy earned 3 times as many points as Jerry. Then it says Kimmy earned 9 more points than Jerry. And then it tells me that Missy earned 21 points. Well, if Missy earned 21 points, I can come back and plug that in wherever Missy is at. So if this is Missy right here, which it was, I can put a 21 there. So if I know in Missy's, I know that Jerry's has to be 3 times what gives me 21, so Jerry's has to be 7. Well, if Jerry's is 7 here, then Jerry's is 7 there. All right, and since Jerry's is 7 here, now I can figure out Kimmy's by saying 9 plus 7 is 16. So how I would explain that is I would say 21 equals to 3 times J. J for Jerry, J equals to 7. Then I took my 7 and I said 9 plus 7 equals to K, and K equals to 16. So you'll probably have to do the same thing for number 13. Write out your facts, plug it in as you go, and see if that helps you. Now looking at this last one, how can you tell the difference between additive comparisons and multiplicative comparisons? Well, we can tell the difference in what they tell us, what words they use. We know that we're adding if we're using additive comparisons, if we use words like how much more, how much less, how much fewer, how many more. And then we know they're multiplicative if we use words like times as many, times as much, how many times more. So I'm going to let you answer this, so that way it will tell me if you have actually watched the lesson too. So let me know if you have any problems finishing up the rest of this. Remember, if you have problems, I've got to know right away so I can help you.